You
Hey,
want them
roommates,
as
everybody. Welcome,
part of
welcome.
this? Go and get them, invite them in.
Kicked
WLSzoom.com
out
forward
of my
slash training.
office.
Get them to come in and say hi. I might just mute
Sunday
you
for
there,
better.
Miles. So we've got some background noise there. I'm going to do that as well. So we have that as a consistent thing. All right, guys. Might ask those early people who dropped in just to mute themselves if I can, because I hadn't ticked that box as they were coming in. Guys, this is my favorite time of the week as we invite one of our special guests to come and help us level up our businesses. And today I am so thrilled to be introducing Laura. So, Laura is a dynamic entrepreneur. She is a keynote speaker, she's a brand strategist. She's got over 20 years of experience and can help each of us take the branding of some of the biggest companies on the planet and help us get it into our own small to medium businesses and growing businesses and help us compete on global stages. She's the dynamo behind Lab Creative, and she is here on her own time, which I'm so grateful for, after an invitation from Johan to come and speak to us about leveling up and getting this whole branding thing together. Laura, on podcasts that I've done in the past, I've interviewed several people who are brand specialists, and I would just love to ask you an opening question, and then I'm going to like just hand over, and you can just steer us
Amazing.
through. I would love to hear, in your own opinion, what is branding? What do you define branding as? Because that would be an amazing way for us to kick off.
Yeah, and I'm going to go even deeper into
Love that.
describing it for sure. So people may have heard the quote from Jeff Bezos that your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And your brand is you. It's your reputation. It's how you show up in the world. It's how
Mm,
you express it. And it is so multifaceted. There's so many layers to it. And that'll come into play in a
I
few
love it.
slides when you
I
because
love it.
it's all about chemistry. That's I have a book called Brand Chemistry. And to me, it's about getting those right ingredients together. And you are the secret ingredient
I
to
love it. I think that's
whatever it
fantastic.
is.
I've heard that quote before. The branding is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And I think, reputation and your way that you're
Yeah.
coming across in the market, we might be going, branding's, I'm not Apple, I'm not McDonald's, but you are in business environments. You are being seen. And if you're not, you need to be. That's part of getting your brand out there and doing all that kind of stuff. So occupying the space in somebody's mind. I heard it described on a recent conference that we did, where somebody was talking about branding being the real estate that you occupy in other people's brains, and then
Mhm.
marketing is the aggressive acquisition of more real estate. It's like going and getting more space in other people's brand is marketing, and then branding itself is that little piece of their brain that you occupy with what you have and who you are. So, guys, I'm
I
so
love it.
excited to have Laura lead us through our masterclass session today. We've got about 60 minutes with Laura, and we're going to go through branding, how it works for you, and what you can do to improve yours with none other than Laura from Lab Creative. Laura, thank you so much. I'm just going to hand over to you guys. If you haven't got a pen and
Amazing.
paper in your pocket right next to you on the desk, or your favorite note taking app, or however you do this, now see, there's Talmor. She's got it dialed in. Now would be a great time to go and get that and make the most use of this time, because Laura's an expert. You got access to her for the next 60 minutes. Let's take advantage of that. And again, Laura, thank you so much. Let's
My
jump in. I'm going to
pleasure.
hand the mic to you, and all yours.
I love it. I love the enthusiasm. That makes me feel super jazzed to be here. Um, just speaking further to what you were talking about, I heard this years ago, and I thought this was such a beautiful description that marketing is like asking somebody to marry you. Branding is the reason they say yes. And so that's kind of an interesting analogy that you can't, you need both of these elements. And when you have the right brand, then that is when those clients, will say yes to the proposal, so to speak.
I
Okay,
love that.
let me share my screen. Let's see. Oh, let
Got you.
me
Yep, absolutely.
make a bit bigger. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Okay, so this is what we're going to be talking about. I've got some insider secrets. Really, it's about how can we learn from what these big brands are doing without having the big brand budgets, which is, what I'm sure none of us have the budgets of Apple. So would love, if you want to pop into the chat, tell me where you are. I'm based in Toronto. Would love to know if there's any other Canadians. I know Anne, you are. So yeah, let me know where you are, little, what your business is. And I've got my handle down here, Lab Creative Inc. So head on over to Instagram or find me on LinkedIn. Would love to connect with everybody as well. So we're going to be talking about these insider secrets of these brands that have created raving fans who buy everything they offer. And I want you to be able to do the same. So before I dive in, I'll share a little bit more about me. So my name is Laura Beauparlant, and Beauparlant actually means beautiful speaker in French. So that's a good way to remember my last name. I'm the founder of Lab Creative. I'm the author of Brand Chemistry, as I mentioned, and I'm an international speaker and the creator of something called Brand Camp, which is my own proprietary branding methodology. And I'm a proud Canadian. I'm based in Toronto, as I mentioned, but I'm really an adventurer at heart. My husband and our two boys moved to Sicily over 2022 and 2023, and that was a pretty epic adventure. And I've been an entrepreneur for the last 20 years, and the last 8 of those, I've been helping ambitious entrepreneurs create really powerful, impact-driven legacy brands. And that to me is not about a past legacy. It's like, what is the legacy you are building? What is the impact you are here to create? And I help them create that through their brands. So that is a little bit more about me. So you get a little bit of a fuller picture. So let's dive right in. Here's the things that I'm going to be covering today. What is a brand? We already touched on that a little bit, and why it matters. 4 insider secrets to creating raving fans, and then how to create irresistible brand chemistry. So I'm going to try to keep the chat open. So I'll make sure we have time for questions as well. So we'll definitely open the floor up later. So thanks for everybody. But if there's anything that's really applicable, I'll try to keep the chat open so I can answer things while we're going here. Okay, so let's start here. What is a brand? So I've been a designer for over 25 years and an entrepreneur for over 20. And in that time, I've learned that it takes more than just being really good at what you do to start and run a successful business, right? You need a brand. But for a term that is thrown around so much as we were talking about, it's still quite misunderstood. And there's, in a way, a lot of interpretations as to what branding is. So let's clear it up with a baking analogy. And I kind of alluded to that earlier. So to the outside world, your brand looks like this, like one thing, like this beautifully decorated cake, right? It's cohesive, it's a whole, it probably looks and it smells delicious, but it's only when you cut into the cake and see beyond the sprinkles and the icing to see that it's actually made up of many different layers. And those layers are made up of a collection of perfectly measured ingredients, right? You've got the eggs and the butter and the flour and sugar, and all of these elements are coming together in harmony to give that cake substance. So it doesn't just look and smell great, but it tastes amazing as well. Because I'm sure you'd agree that a cake that's just made up of sprinkles and icing lacks substance, just like a brand that is all logo and website. And so when I say brand, I'm not just talking about logos, although it is an important piece, right? It's only one layer of that cake. It's sort of like the icing, actually, but you have to have the substance that makes up the inside. So when I say brand, I really mean how you make people feel, right? It is that impression you leave on people. What do they say about you when you're not in the room? I actually got a client last year. Actually, just interviewed him on my podcast. It came out today. And another client of mine was talking about me to him while they were on horseback in Mongolia on an adventure travel trip. And they started talking about me. And then I ended up getting a client because my client was talking about me while they were on a horseback ride in Mongolia. Right? That is your reputation. You want people to want to talk about you to other people. So that's kind of my most fun I'd say, referral story. Um, so it's really the experience that people have when they work with you, when they buy your product, and that image of what you project when you put yourself and your business out into the world. And I believe that the key element is creating chemistry with your audience. And I call that brand chemistry, which, as I mentioned, is the name of my book. So let's dive into what it really takes to create brand chemistry. So to me, the first part is think. This is all about your messaging. It's about creating a brand that really deeply aligns with you. It helps you go from following what others are doing in your industry to forging your own path and doing it your way. And this deep thinking is what shapes an authentic and memorable first impression. And that impression is what stays in the hearts and minds of the right people. And you have to do that deep work first before you can get to design, because this is where you go from blending in to standing out. And if you haven't done the deep work first, you're going to you're going to end up looking and sounding like everybody else in your industry. You're going to start to follow those conventions. But if you have that vision, then your design will align with it. And so when I created Brand Camp, which is what Think is in our process, I noticed that our design work got better. It was quite an amazing journey to see, and the longevity those brands would have, because we weren't just designing something for them where they are today. We're building a brand for them for the future. I always say if it feels perfectly suited right now, it's not going to fit you next year. It's got to feel a little bit like a little nerve wracking. I said, if you feel a little bit like you want to throw up, but also really excited at the same time, like we're nailing your brand, because it should feel like you're stepping into an evolution. So then this think and design provide the clarity and the confidence and the assets to launch and then amplify your brand. And so amplify is about, expressing that promise to the world with authenticity and consistency. Not about hiding behind professionalism and how it's always been done. People need to see you and for you to shine and be out there in the world. And it's always challenging. I know there's some people who are maybe more introverts. They're like, I don't like social media. It's like, well, you're going to have to kind of get used to that, because that is a huge part of it. But if you have an authentic brand that feels in alignment with you, it's not as hard because it feels more natural. I know a lot of people have said to me, Laura, you're always on brand. Isn't it exhausting? And I say no, because it's it's easy actually, because I don't have to think about it. I just am my brand. I show up and people immediately know who I am and what Lab Creative also stands for. So here we are at that intersection of think, design, and amplify. And that's where brand chemistry is. And when you have irresistible brand chemistry, the right people are going to be attracted to you and you will be the only choice for them. So let's take a look at how some of the world's biggest brands have created this irresistible brand chemistry with their customers and created raving fans. And I'm going to, as I said, I've got 4 different ones that I want to share with you and how you can apply them to your own business and how my clients have actually applied it to theirs. So the first one is they are outcome focused. So they're focused on the desired outcome for their clients as opposed to the details of what they do or what they make, right? The most desired outcomes are the benefits they receive from working with you. And this is where they're buying, you know, this is what they're buying. They're not buying your features, they're buying the benefits to them. So I want you to think about your business and think about what you do. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how focused are you on what you're giving your customers, what they are going to get from working with you versus what they're getting from you, right? So it's that give or get. Another thing you can think about, and you'll have to do this afterwards, is go through your website and count up the number of times you say I or we versus you. A tip I learned is that you should have 3 times as many yous to I's or we's on your website. And it takes a bit of a flip, but it's actually switching it from what you're giving them to what they're receiving. And that's a really smart trick. So that's an easy one that you can do. Okay, Dave has got an 8 or a 9. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? Are you like just focused on the thing that I'm giving them? Or a 10 is like 100% we're focused on the benefits. So yeah, if anybody else wants to pop in, feel free. So this is the way to create raving fans, right? Is to sell what they desire and really tap into that. So let's look at how some of the big brands are doing. So Apple, I think, Walt, you mentioned Apple earlier, right? Despite being a technology company, Apple does not sell their features. In fact, if you want to learn what's inside a phone or a computer, you have to go digging on their website. Instead, you go on their website and you see beautiful images, very minimal text, right? They use words and images that resonate with people because Apple is about making technology human, right? They are focused on their messaging and how their phones and tablets and computers and everything else that they've created, helps people in an emotional and human focused way. Like this laptop here is covered in stickers. You can see the she's a musician. It's kind of moody. It feels emotion filled. It's not, they're selling lifestyle, they're selling status, they are selling what this girl can do with that computer. They're not selling the actual computer itself, right? Yeah, identity, exactly. They're selling the identity of having an iPhone. How many times have you been with somebody and they have an Android and you get the green bubble when you text them, right? You can't have a group chat or you can't airdrop them photos. Like it's almost like the secret club that they've created. And you're either in it or you're not, right? So they're selling what you can do with their devices, right? FaceTiming family and friends, which has been very important, especially in like a global economy. And during the pandemic, it was really the only way you could see family and friends. You can take great photos and videos, listen to music. And while Apple is really focused on the outcomes, they're doing it while being wildly consistent, right? You recognize this brand everywhere in their marketing, their videos, their products, and you'll notice this is a common theme with all of the brands we're going to look at today. But the reality is, yes, Apple has massive budget compared to what any of us might have. However, being consistent is free, right? Selling your benefits is free. You just have to know how to do it and how to position yourself. And it's so easy to get off track. The number of times I see people get off track with their branding because somebody tweaks their color, they don't follow the brand guidelines, something gets derailed, that has an impact on your ability to be consistent. So here's a client of ours, and all of our clients we really help them focus on the outcomes for their clients. And this is our client Tara from True Investment. She wants her clients to have a better money mindset and live a confident and joyful life. Now, if Tara was just selling insurance and investment products, she'd be selling the exact same thing as everyone else in her industry, which is a commodity, right? So it's how Tara is selling them and the benefits that are making her stand out. You rarely see a financial advisor in jeans, and not with a suit and crossed arms. Like her color palette, everything about her messaging and even what she's wearing are wildly different from so many other people in that insurance world. So you can screenshot this one if you want, take a picture. If you're selling your features, right, your products or services, you're selling the same thing as everyone else. That thing is a commodity. If I was selling branding and design services, I'm competing against everybody who will do it cheaper. I'm not selling branding and design. I'm selling your legacy. I'm selling clarity and confidence. I'm selling so many other things. But if I was just selling branding and design services, then it becomes who's cheaper, who's more convenient, who can do it faster. You never want to be in that position where people hire you because you're cheaper or more convenient or faster. So, how's everybody feel about switching from selling features to benefits?
I love
Give
it
me
because it's
a,
blue
I
ocean,
could,
Laura. I think like
yeah,
I love Kyle and I talk about this all the time. Like if you feel like you're unique in the marketplace, you're not. There's a million other people that do what you do. The thing that makes you unique is who you are and what you can provide to the client. So I think it's blue ocean in the way that you're not stacking up against everyone else. Being able to focus on their experience makes it unique.
absolutely. Knowing who you're for, and you actually want to have people not be attracted to you and your brand, right? If you're trying to be everything to everybody, right, then you are just diluting your brand and you are, then you're competing against everybody. But this is all about really putting yourself in a category of one. So the right people will want to work with you. I use another analogy in another talk where imagine if you walk into a bakery. I love baking analogies and they help illustrate the point. You walk into a bakery and you just see a full table of plain vanilla cupcakes, right? How do you choose which cupcake to buy? You're going to buy the one that's physically closest to you. And if there's a cheaper option, you may buy the cheaper one because they all look identical. But imagine if you see in the far back corner, there's like a spicy chocolate cupcake that's calling your name. You're like, ooh, okay, you're going to reach further. You're going to pay more for that spicy chocolate cupcake because that is the one that you want and you're willing to stretch further for it. But that spicy chocolate cupcake isn't going to be for everybody. So you have to figure out what's your version of your spicy chocolate cupcake to attract the right clients who are going to want that. So hopefully nobody's too hungry with my baking analogies. Okay. So number two is that they are differentiated and they are actively trying not to be like everybody else. So again, we'll do a scale. Let me ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, how clear are you on what makes you different and why people choose you? One being not at all. You kind of feel like you're losing business to other people. You're competing in the same space with so many people. You're not differentiated. And 10 is like, I'm crystal clear. I'm rocking the people who want to work with me. They're just I'm attracting them all the time. Okay, Dave's a 5 to a 6. Oh, Kyle, yeah, spicy chocolate does sound good, right? I could go for a spicy chocolate cupcake right now.
Even as you were
Okay,
describing it,
Veronica's
I
an
was like,
8.
yeah, that's me. That's definitely me.
Yeah. But some people might be absolutely repulsed by the idea of spicy chocolate. And that's exactly what you want. That's the beautiful thing about that. So whether you type a number in here or not, it's for you to be honest with yourself, really, because you can say whatever you want in here. But if you say 8, but really you're a 2, you know, it's about getting really honest with yourself. And so whenever I get to the part in brand camp with my clients about what makes you different, I really feel the energy change. They often get uncomfortable, they get embarrassed, they get modest. Limiting beliefs start to rear their ugly heads like, oh, I'm not different. Oh, I'm not special. But really, what makes you special is why people want to work with you. And standing out can be a scary place, right? We've been taught our whole lives to fit in, fall into line, do what we're told. Imagine if you were in school and you were the one who stood out, right? That you've heard of the tall poppy syndrome, right? Like when you're taller than everybody, when you shine brighter than others, you open yourself up to judgment, and that can be a scary space. However, the beautiful thing is when you stand out, the right people would be attracted to you. And that is the best way to build a really strong brand, is to stand out and attract the right people. Yeah, people do business with people who they want to be with or aspire to be with. That is a beautiful thing. And I will say, like, when you build a brand that is deeply aligned with you, that really showcases what makes you different, it does attract the right people. Okay, so Airstream trailers. This is a great example. I'm sure you all recognize the shiny metal finish of an Airstream trailer. You see one driving down the highway, you see the glint of the sun on that metal body, and you know exactly what it is. And in a sea of brown and beige, they stand out for their distinctive look and feel. I remember going to like a trailer show or something years ago with my husband and our older son, and it was like, brown, beige, that like all looked identical. And then you see Airstream and it's like, oh, like it's so wildly different. And they are more expensive and they know who their audience is, right? They have carved a niche for themselves and nobody's come close. They focus on design, the quality of the finishes, and the look to attract people who want that boutique hotel feel while they're camping, which is totally what I like. It sounds like Stacy knows all about Airstream and they're worth every cent, definitely. So Airstream celebrates and highlights their differences, and they definitely stand out from the crowd. And they don't stray, right? Like they know their lane, pun not no pun intended there, but they are so aligned with it that they aren't going, oh, we should probably do this over here. We should probably do that over here. It's like when I see pizza places now offering like wings and fries, I'm like, no, I want pizza from the pizza place. It's stay in your lane and be really, really great at that thing. And they are. And they're not conforming. And I think there's a beauty in non-conforming. And I think as entrepreneurs, we probably are already a little bit more geared towards non-conformity. My husband and I joke that we would be terrible employees today because we've created these businesses for ourselves and yeah, weirdos. Yeah, we're these weirdos. We're entrepreneurs that we don't really want to do things other people's ways. Otherwise, we would be employees for somebody else. Okay, so somebody else who refuses to conform is our client, Dr. Lisa Watson, and she's definitely not your typical naturopath. She is bold and she's dynamic. She is definitely authentic. She's a bit of a badass. She hula hoops with fire. She has red hair and red lips and tattoos and piercings. And she needed a brand that reflected that. Her previous brand was fine, but it didn't speak to her. It didn't show up like her. So if you were to just see that logo and you never saw her photo, you'd kind of get a feel for what kind of naturopath you're going to get. Then you meet her in person and you're like, yeah, this is exactly who I thought she was going to be. And we focused on creating a brand for her that really reflected her essence and made it easy for her to show up with confidence and stand out in an industry that is dominated with green and leaves. And we did this through powerful messaging, which is from burnt out to fired up, and then her flaming red Phoenix logo. And with this new brand, she's been able to grow her business and a business that she loves. And she is full by her really showing up and being authentic in her brand. It has magnetized the right clients and repelled the wrong clients. And she's really embracing what makes her different and sharing it with the world. And the beauty is that that is what happens, that magnetization happens when you build a brand like this.
I think it's
So
sorry, Laura, can I just jump
yeah,
in? Kyle and
please.
we've been having this conversation about repelling the wrong clients for a little while. And for a lot of business owners, that's counterintuitive. It's like, I need every dollar, every person on the planet is my client. Um, it's really interesting running a business when we have the right clients, they just fly, and the wrong ones just struggle. And I think
Yeah.
repelling the wrong clients with your ICP message again is counterintuitive, but if it helps you create raving fans, that's where you have that incredible groundswell of people who buy from you again and again and again because you've really dialed in who you serve and what you do. Repelling the wrong clients, is it as
Yeah.
important as attracting the right ones?
I think if you do a good job with the attracting and the setting yourself up as different, you will naturally repel them and you'll probably never even know you repelled them because they won't even fill out the form on your website to book a call.
Interesting.
Right? Like they won't even get that far. They'll go to your website and they'll be like, they're not for me. Or what happens for us is sometimes people will, email and they'll say, we need your help to build a website. I'm like, great. This is our process. If you want us to build your website, you have to go through brand camp with us first. And
Mm.
here's why. And so if they're like, I just need a quick and dirty website, or I just need a quick logo. I have a sketch of a logo. Can you just design it for us? I say no, because that is not, could we? 100%. That would dilute my brand.
Interesting.
And I tell them, brand can't makes the designs better, because we're going to design something for you that you didn't even know you wanted or needed, but you will fall in love with it because you will realize how deeply it resonates. So I have some things to back up why we don't do certain things. But I also just turned down somebody this past week because of, and it would have been, a decent contract. And it was just the way, the tone with the email, the way it was written. They were setting us up for failure. And my alarm bells and my red flags were triggered. And I just, sent a very lovely email saying, I don't think we're the right fit for this
Fantastic.
project.
So I
So I'm
thank you.
not,
Thank you for
I'm
clarifying.
do it with kindness.
Yeah, it's not, thank you for clarifying because I was thinking, is it something that you need to be conscious of? No, you need to be more conscious on the attracting side. That's what brings the right people to you. So
Yeah.
that's what the real message there is that by attracting the right people and by becoming attractive to the right people, it then becomes a natural fit. Like I love that comment at the beginning where you said that branding is the reason people say yes. Marketing is, will you marry me? But branding is the reason that people say
Yeah.
yes. So it's getting that right attractive quality to your ICP. I think that's cool. Thank you for clarifying. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. So number three is they're creating impact that their clients and customers admire, right? And they're using this as a North Star. So if you think about some of the brands I've mentioned, right, they're intentionally creating impact and are driven by the impact that they're creating, right? You've probably heard of Sinek, right? Like don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And when you get clear on the impact you want to create, and the contribution you want to make in this world, which is what I call legacy branding. Like, what is it you're here to do in this world with your time on this earth? And can we build a business that is so deeply aligned with you and that mission that that is your North Star? And every decision you make goes through that lens. I always tell my clients when we go through this exercise of developing their why statement that every decision you make needs to go through this lens. Does this opportunity, client, new offering, whatever, get me closer to my goal, or does it take me further? Is it a shiny object? Is it like, oh, squirrel, something that you think could be fun, but it's actually veering you off track? Um, I've got pilots in my life, and my son wants to be one. So I'll mix some metaphors. I'll mix some flying metaphors in here. There's a story that and I'm probably going to do it for justice, but if a pilot is flying from New York to London and they are 1 degree off in their trajectory, they're going to end up in like South Africa. I'm probably doing that story injustice, but you get what I mean. You get off even that 1% for long enough, right? You diverge in your path, and that has a huge impact. So again, with the scale of 1 to 10, how intentional are you about the impact that you want to create? One being, haven't really thought about why I do what I do. I'm making some money and building this business as I go, kind of building the plane as I fly it. Or you're really clear on that intention and the legacy that you want to build, and you're doing that in your business. Okay, well, it's a 7. Anybody else want to share?
I've said seven, which I hate as a scale. I,
Okay,
I feel
well,
like
while you're doing that,
seven should be taken out of the scale of 1 to 10 because it's the
it's
like you're not quite really sure about which way to go if your six is too low. But I said seven, like we focus on our customers and I'm proud of what we do, but are we intentional about the impact we make? Kinda. I think we can do better.
mm, intention it's a powerful word, and I think a lot of times we're reactive as opposed to intentional.
Mm, interesting.
And that transcends every aspect of our life. Like, every day, are you being intentional in what you're doing, who you're spending it with, the business you're building, how you're spending your time, or is it just days are going by without really having that intentionality behind it. Um, so yeah, great observation. Yeah, seven does, it's a bit of like, if it was an eight, you're like, okay, seven is like, it's not quite a
It's the
five,
it's the
but
it's the it's the fuzzy scale. It's like, yeah, we're not doing badly, but we could do better.
all right. Now your goal is to get that up
100%.
to
Absolutely.
a, maybe an eight or a nine for in 2025. Okay, so do you think of specific toys, colors, or activities when you think about girls or when you think about boys? Now I know we're in a more gender fluid time in the world. However, if you go to a store, you will notice that most things are still very gendered. I have two boys. Clothing options are terrible. Little girl stuff at Christmas shopping, like I can get my boys like a plaid shirt, so Canadian, like a flannel plaid shirt for Christmas, or girls have like 20 different sparkly dresses and this and that. And like, so things are still very gendered in many ways when it comes to toys and colors and activities. Um, and if you think about the world of STEM, it's been typically more geared towards men and boys. And our toys and our activities as children gender our career choices later on, which is wild. When I learned that, I'm like, yeah, I guess that does make sense. So, what does this have to do with branding? So, I want to share a company with you called Goldie Blocks, if you haven't heard of it. So, they educate and empower young girls and they create engaging content, fun toys, interesting resources that help them build their confidence and their dreams. And they're showing them that they can be anything. They're showing girls how STEM will change the world and how they can be the catalyst of that change. And so their mission, right, the impact that they plan to have is to change the status quo and correct the gender imbalance in engineering, right, which is a powerful mission for them to go after. So every decision, imagine if that was your mission statement, your why statement in your business. Every decision you would make in the organization would be geared towards making that come true. And they may or may not ever reach that, correcting the gender balance, but maybe they'll play a part in getting it closer. A lot of times people think, well, that's, I'm not going to see that in my lifetime. Well, who knows, right? This is about really thinking big. So, in the work we do with our clients, we take the time to really craft that why statement that deeply connects with the impact they want to make. So, our client Left Coast Recreation's mission is to inspire play by building safe, joyful playgrounds where kids can be kids. And so, this mission is going to drive everything they do and will inform all future business decisions that they make. So, I want you to start by tapping into those underlying motivations for what you do every day. Think about what drove you to start this business when you could have been doing anything. And a lot of people say, well, I saw a need in the market, or I kind of fell into it, or I started freelancing and suddenly it became a business. I don't really know how I got here. And others really started with intention. And there's a lot of, scale in between that. So, I just would love to ask you if you are ready to create bigger impact through your work. And as Walt said, be more intentional about it. So I don't know if you can do like a hand raise or give me like a thumb, give me an emoji in the chat, maybe. I can only see like 5 on my thing. Would love to see. Okay, I got some thumbs up. Perfect. Okay, the last one I want to share, which I've already kind of alluded to, is they're wildly consistent. You know how I talked about that pilot veering off at 1% and ending up in a different continent? The same thing happens when you're inconsistent. And, we've got fun tools like Canva, and a lot of people use it. It's great. We set up all of the templates for our clients in Canva so they can use all of these tools. Whereas, before you would have to come to a designer like us because we have all the design programs and now they're available to you. However, it's really easy to get sidetracked with fun graphics and fun fonts and, ooh, look at this. And what about that? And, oh, suddenly the color, your pink color, like mine, is suddenly 3 shades lighter or darker or more red or more orange. It's not this shade pink any longer, or it's not this font. They found something close, right? So this is about being wildly consistent. And I do have a lot of people say to me, they're like, Laura, I see you everywhere. I was like, that's just because I'm that consistent that you will now, you're going to see me if you follow me on social. My podcast uses this color. I use black and white photography often, the white and the black and the pink. You're going to start to see my brand, but the designs vary, but you're going to recognize it because of how we use it. And a lot of people think, oh, isn't it going to be boring? No, it doesn't have to be boring. Okay, so when you think about Harvard University, you might think of the color burgundy, right? They kind of own this color. They've really committed to it. And people all around the world, I think, I've been in Europe and seen people wearing like Harvard hoodies and things in different places. It's it's part of everything that they do. It's the clothes, it's their sweaters and their scarves. You can even get like a baby onesie from Harvard. And most of us can't or won't ever attend Harvard, but we can still buy it. We can still be a part of the Harvard brand, and thousands of people do. And they're helping to further expand on the school's brand awareness. And even I went to Boston. I think it was my high school grad trip. We went to Boston and I got myself a Harvard t-shirt. So it just goes to show how strong that brand is, right? And then you've got these brand ambassadors that, like, these students, presumably these are actual, right, Harvard students at a sporting event. They are representing the brand. They are brand ambassadors. So how can you create brand ambassadors for your business? Yeah, somebody just mentioned hex codes. Yeah, anybody who touches your brand should absolutely know what your hex codes are and use them religiously. So I showed you my Left Coast Recreation client. So this is their, brand that we've helped build out for them. Everything is on brand, and consistency is key, right? From their swag, their stickers, the logo, the color palette, social, their website, baseball caps, everything is on brand. So no matter where you see them, what platform you're on, you meet them in person, you know exactly who this brand is and what they stand for. And this honestly is the area that is the easiest to fix. And yet the most common mistake that most brands make is that they are inconsistent. So did you know that it takes 6 to 8 times for somebody to see you before they're likely to buy from you? You've probably heard that statistic. I've actually heard now that it's closer to 20 times because people are so overwhelmed and overloaded with the content they see. I read a study that, and this was even a few years ago, that we see 100,000 words a day. A day. Like, we're not reading them. Like, no wonder people don't read emails anymore, right? We are overwhelmed. And so inconsistency weakens your brand, and it confuses your audience. So even if people are scrolling, right? Like they're scrolling through social, even if they don't stop on your post, even if it just flashes in front of their eyes, it is still something that they will recognize. And I have a lot of people who I've seen them, and I've been posting for a while and I know they haven't liked or commented on my posts, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I love this post. And they'll actually be referencing specific posts I've made on social media back to me, but I know they haven't liked it or commented on it. So you never know what people are looking at, and people are looking. So being predictable in how you show up visually, even with your cadence, like not being gone for months at a time, or, trying to, if you can't post 5 days a week, start with 2, be consistent. So who here is going to commit to being more consistent, or at least auditing their brand for inconsistencies and fixing them when we're done here? May have a bit of a job. All right. We've got a few hands up. Amazing. Okay. So this is the secret to creating irresistible brand chemistry, right? These are the secrets that are going to draw those incredible clients to you, the ones that are going to want to pay you for the amazing work that you do, and will most likely even be willing to pay more because they know that you're the only choice for them and they see value in it. You are not a commodity when you've created brand chemistry. So let's do a quick review of what they're doing. So they're focused on the outcomes rather than the thing that they are selling, right? Think about Apple and how they're selling their benefits, not the features. They're celebrating their differences. They're like, this is who I am, kind of give, take it or leave it, right? And so, I mean, you don't have to be, nobody's going to be nasty to you about it and be like, I hate your brand. I mean, they might. It's not about repelling people in that kind of a negative way. It's just making people go, yeah, they're not for me, and bouncing, right? They're creating a lasting impact. They are building a brand that is aligned with the legacy and the contribution that they want to make. And they're doing it all while being wildly consistent. And so all of the businesses I've shared with you today are doing all of these things. They're all creating chemistry with their audience and they have legions of raving fans. And so can you. So here's some next steps. As I already mentioned, review your brand for inconsistencies, check your colors, fonts, your messaging, photos. Are your photos out of date? Are they just bad photos? Are they relevant to your brand? You can go back and actually delete social media posts, right? So, like, maybe you just need to go back through and go, yeah, we can just delete all of these and start fresh, right? Leave the ones that you feel are good. Go through your website. Do you need to do a photo shoot, or is there outdated? I've been to websites where they're talking about, a webinar they're hosting last year, and it's still on their website. Like, go through, do that, put something in your, CRM to like do a bit of a website and social review every quarter to see, are there broken links, what's out of date. All of these little things can have an impact on how people perceive you. So those are your next steps. And here's a fancy QR code if you want to scan it. It takes you to a page on my website where it's got all my contact info. If you want to sign up for my newsletter, I've got a podcast called Legacy Branding that comes out every week. I share links to that there. Would love to have you join me there, or if you want to connect further. And then would love to open it up for questions. We've got about 10 minutes. So yeah, and there's my social handles too. So feel free
Love
to
it.
hop
Love
on
it.
over
Love it.
and,
Love it.
and
Thank
find
you.
me.
And Laura, you mentioned that Beauparlant was French for beautiful speaker, and I tell you what, that is absolutely accurate. Somebody knew what they were doing. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the breakdown here, and I think the understanding of what creates trust and attraction in the marketplace is something that we can all use. I was one of those guys that's always like, yeah, the fonts don't matter. Don't worry about the colors. Like, just let's get out there. And then to see the difference that it makes when we do focus on that stuff. And Stacey said, like, there's brand boards that you can just have as a done for you service. Like, it becomes something that makes your identity. And as we started talking about at the beginning of the call today, we said it's what people say about you when you're not in the room, and all of this matters. When you've got that attraction, you've got that consistency, you're focusing on the impact. When you've got these ingredients in the right mixing bowl, as you said, the chemistry takes care of itself. So I absolutely love it. Guys, you've got about, yeah, 9 minutes with a world-leading
Yeah.
branding expert to be able to ask any questions that you like. So for those who didn't get that QR code, guys, I know that Laura
Here, I
is,
can probably just pop the link
yeah, drop it in the
in the
chat. That'd be
chat.
great.
Let me do that.
That would be fantastic. And guys, take the opportunity, connect with Laura, and just ask what you can be doing better in the marketplace. Only if you want to grow, of course. Only if if you're interested in improving your business. If you're not, feel free
Need to sell it.
to ignore it. Kyle just said he picked up your book, guys. Who has not bought Laura's book yet? Give me a two in the chat if you have not yet bought Laura's book, and Laura's going to drop in. You're going to see it. There we go. You've got customers.
There's a
You've still
link at
got
the bottom of
customers to
that page
come.
I just posted.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. So you've still got
Yeah.
customers
And
to
I'll
come,
send a
Laura.
signed copy. It'll be personalized. You get
Wow.
it.
Damn, that's impressive. That's seriously impressive. That's amazing. So guys, what can you do more about your brand? Like give us a little bit of feedback in the chat here. Let Laura give some love over to Laura for sharing her time. And again, I thank you for making that available to us. Guys, what are you taking away from this conversation? For me, it is that that audit on consistency and that focus on impact, messaging Kyle privately, just saying, these are some of the really key points for us to be able to move forward with our company. Love to hear some of the feedback, guys. Dave says focusing on benefits, really amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, man. Coming back in. People like who have we got? We've got Jay Templeton in the room, an absolute rock star in the sales world. Guys, if you've got any of the feedback, we'd love to hear it. Stacy, feeling better about your OCD and especially about loving your trailer there, Stacey. I think that's fantastic. Actually, Stacey's comment about the trailer, Laura, when she was a
Yeah.
raving fan, like that's exactly the kind of thing we're talking about with that branding, right?
Yep.
Fantastic.
100%.
Just makes
Yeah.
like people just gather around you. The tribe becomes your best marketing angle. Guys, amazing. It's an RV. How about the new VW bus? Be different. Be different is Talmor. Talmor, amazing. Talmor, again, a rock star in our world, making big moves. So that's a really great takeaway as well. Guys, I love it.
Yeah.
Let me drop that link one more time so that it's right at the bottom of your conversation tab there. I'm going to grab that link, pop it right down the bottom. There you go. Get in touch with Laura and the team and at Lab Creative. And guys, have a look at the messaging. And again, only if you want to grow, only if you want to get bigger businesses and be better about what we're doing. I mean, otherwise, no
Yep.
worries. But jump in. Jay, thank you for the thanks.
Thanks, Jay.
Give some love up for Laura.
Yeah,
You
and if
guys.
anybody wants to book a call with me, wants to talk about their brand, give you some feedback.
Wow.
We're booking, clients into January and February already for this year, and would love to connect with anybody
Wow.
and
That's
just
a great
also
offer.
hear, like if there's some changes you make, how that had an impact, just reach out. I'm
What a great
I'm
offer. Thank you.
here. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. And guys, we'll make this recording available in our masterclass vault as well. And again, thank you so much, Laura, for giving your time so willingly. And again, I love the presentation. I love the messaging of it. Really appreciate it. Laura's just dropped her email in there
I,
as well,
I
guys.
just dropped my email. So if anybody wants to just email me direct, there it is.
I love it. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Taking
everybody.
branding seriously is genuinely about getting people to say yes to you. And we all want that. So the importance of it can't be understated. Again, Laura, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. We're going to make this recording available to our clients ongoing. So you guys are going to have access to this. For anybody in your team that you wish had seen this and you wish were on the call, make sure you get them the replay link so that they can watch it for themselves and improve your businesses. Laura, thank you. You're amazing. Can't wait to hang out a bit
My
more.
pleasure.
Guys, thank you all for
Yeah.
jumping in, and we will look forward to seeing you on our next calls.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye. Nice to
everyone.
meet you.
Cheers, guys. Thank you so much.